1775, be advised that notice of this meeting was made by posting on the bulletin board, town hall, and sending to the officially designated newspapers indicating that the meeting will take place at the community center at 9 a.m. on this date. The fire exits are located in the far right corner in the back and to my immediate left in front. Per Resolution 156-20, establishing rules of conduct and decorum for public meetings, please be advised of the following. All members of the public must step up to the designated public microphone, state for the record their name and address before addressing mayor and council. Roll call.
Councilman Aguilar.
Here.
Councilman Haynes.
Here.
Councilman Hurley.
Here.
Councilman McDonald.
Here.
Councilman Slocum.
Here.
Council President Pro Tem.
Here.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to our second day second meeting of budget hearings. Today we have the Garden Club and the Fire Department. So, Garden Club first, please step up to the table. And then we have police next Saturday. She can.
Like Martel Reed, 28 Burns Lane, and I'm a member of the Rockaway Borough Garden Club. So we have submitted a letter to you today in regard to our request for budget, as well as the Point Garden, which is the area going westbound, 46 coming in to town on Main Street. So I'd like to read my letter.
Sure. Thank you.
Dear Mayor Mulligan and council members, on behalf of the Rockaway Borough Garden Club, I am writing to express our gratitude for all the assistance we receive from the Department of Public Works with our beautification projects throughout the year. We commend the staff for a job well done. We are very excited to begin our 2025 garden season and seek your approval of the following. 1, budget, an increase of $1,000 to our current budget of $5,000. While we work very hard to keep expenses in line with budget, our costs continue to rise, especially with the increase in the number of 19 to 29 planters and size in the downtown area. An increase of $1,000 would allow us to continue to provide 4 seasonal plantings for the planters, as well as summer fall plantings for our gardens throughout town. Number 2, entrance to Rockaway Borough from Route 46 westbound, also known as the Point Garden. This garden is in need of refurbishing. While it's unknown to us what the New Jersey DOT has planned here, we believe a substantial cleanup of the area is necessary. Our recommendation includes trimming of the inkberry green shrubbery along the back of the garden area, leaving the Welcome to Rockaway Borough sign in place, as well as the planter in front of the sign, removal of the tree stump behind the sign, removal of all remaining vegetation, and treating the area for unwanted growth. Installation of a paver raised bed in the area behind the sign at approximately 28 feet in length, 4 feet deep, and 24 inches high to give a tiered look. The Garden Club would then plant and maintain an assortment of low-growing plants. Finally, filling the remaining space with river rock or another hardscape material. 2 sketches of the area are included for your review. These steps would greatly improve the space. With your approval, we would ask that the town administrator and/or the Department of Public Works work with us on developing a budget and timeline for this project. We look forward to your response on the above budget request and garden project. And that is signed by our club president, Lynn Marina.
Good.
Okay, I'll just start with, I did already put in the requested 1,000 into the budget, so it's already accounted for in there. As long as you guys want to keep it in there, I already added the 1,000 in.
Great,
So.
that's great, thank
Are
you.
you sure the 1,000 is all you need?
I believe so. You know, this was our first year with the new planters, and I believe another department was able to subsidize us to cover that cost. So I do believe that 1,000, maybe an additional 500 for what we might do here at the Quint Garden, but, yeah, I think we can,
Good.
manage that, yes.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other questions?
Martel,
Yes.
great idea, because you know what, that's the front door to the borough.
I know.
And then I saw a sketch of that, just in the research section, and I just saw it on Senator Bucco's Facebook page. The state is gonna be working on Route 46, starting in, I guess, Patty, you said you got a 14-day notice?
That's like a 14-day notice,
But
yeah.
it's supposed to go through October, so in chatting, you might, it's tough to get information, but
I know.
as much as we
I
can,
know
I just hate to
last
see
year
us
we
do
had-
something early if they're gonna disturb any of that area, so.
So I think, one thing that would be important, if we wait until the fall, which is certainly fine, it'll be here before we know it, we do need though some assistance in, cleaning up that area. It's, weeds are a big problem.
There's a stump in there too, correct?
The stump should come out, but maybe we can talk about like kind of, how do we make that look, you know, acceptable until this
Oh, yeah.
construction
Yeah, sure.
project
Yeah.
is done.
Yeah,
for
even if it means throughout the season,
yeah.
Chip it away a
DPW
little
going
bit.
in there and at least weed whacking, just everything needs to go.
But the design you have is real nice with the
Oh.
river rock that's out there, because
Right.
the other thing you have to consider is the type of plants you're gonna use that are salt resistant, because when
Right.
they plow, you know, having that river rock barrier out there will
Right.
help to, you know,
Yes.
water runoff and such, but.
Yeah, and I don't think anywhere where that curbing exists,
Yeah.
trucks are gonna run over it.
I know, that's tough.
It's just
Yeah, because of the way the
happens.
point is, you know.
Honestly, I don't think moving the curb back solves anything.
Mhm.
I would just, leave that and even use blacktop,
Yeah.
just some sort of hardscape.
That'll look real nice.
Any other questions for Martel? Thanks, Martel.
Thank you
Thank you
very
very
much.
much.
Thank you.
Chief Van Saders. Chief Joseph Van Saders. Second Chief.
The law firm of Van Saders, that's it.
Van Saders and Van Saders.
Associates? Yes, please.
So we're gonna start with we'll start with the top one, which is your operating budget, so that's the town and fire department.
Yeah, we good?
If it's red, it's on.
Is it ready?
Push the button right there.
There we go.
All right.
Alright, so, I did not ask for any increase in this year's budget. I did a little bit of manipulating of some numbers, spots that I saw that we haven't been spending. I moved to spots where we've been spending a lot. Specifically, parts and repairs budget, our fleet's older. And the repairs have been consistently just about what we've been budgeting for, if not a few percent over. And then basically everything else, like I said, stayed status quo. A couple items where we've been not spending money at all, I dropped down a little bit of money and just moved it all around. So the budget, again, it didn't change. It was more just like accounting, kind of moving things to where I believed I'd be spending it so that it matches the best way possible. Realistically, an increase for parts and repairs is going to continue probably, obviously until there are new trucks, just because they're getting older. We're talking a 25-year-old truck in 411, that's technically 27 years old, a 25-year-old truck in the ladder, and now a 15-year-old truck in 412, which is already, pretty considerably crazy that when I joined, it was brand new, and now it's, 13, 14 years old. But yeah, that's basically it.
So the only thing I wanted to add, discuss, the Alpine software,
Yes.
will be coming out of the operating budget,
Correct.
the software, not capital.
Yes,
Okay.
so I was under that same assumption too, so basically the way Alpine Software mentioned it to me is that I can sign the service contract, it does a 30-day from when I sign, that payment's due for this
You
year.
may want to explain to them with the Alpine.
Yeah, so Alpine Software is basically, it is the NIMFRS and NARIS reporting program. we use that National Emergency Response Incident System reporting to obtain grant funding. For the last few years, the old system that we used to track everything in went defunct, and then cost a lot to upkeep, and it was only available on one of our laptops. This new program is state-of-the-art, and between the transfer from the old NFIRS to the new NERIS, it has both capabilities. So when they switch over to federal regulations for reporting incidents, we'll be able to keep that up. And then once we've been reporting for so long, we'll be able to start using that information in qualifying for grants to help subsidize some of the spending. Instead of it coming out of capital, it'd be coming out of potentially state or federal grants.
When you talk about grants, do you have somebody within the department that manages that or will write those for you? Or? So basically, I think the only person currently who has any experience even in the room for grants is potentially Second Assistant Chief Heinzelman, who couldn't make it today because he does it with Rockaway Township's fire. We have plenty of resources from other fire departments, but obviously if we have a grant writer in town, we'll probably just, bump everybody's heads together and help us get the best potential chances for grants to be written and then approved.
Joey, is this Alpine software integration fire prevention with?
So it can. So realistically right now, the program that we're purchasing is just for the fire department's records, for the incidents that we take in and reporting. It does have the capabilities of anybody in the fire official's office from using it as the fire prevention reporting software, records management software, all that kind of stuff as well. So it does have that extra add-on. I just didn't include it because it wasn't pertinent to specifically what we need to get underway. So basically with that whole 30-day window payment thing is by me signing the paper, it allows all the CAD reports from all the incidents that we're going to have probably in February to automatically be uploaded into that system, which means that we have like a jump start on all those reports being written. And that's one of the main things in the purchase that I got for you guys to see is it's like that $900 extra. The county interfaces with the program, and every time we generate a report from the county, it goes right into the system. We just have to do a couple bits and bobs, add a narrative, and we're all good.
And that'll also help the fire marshal?
Yeah, so that, like I said, it can very easily help the fire marshal. There's a separate module, and I didn't get the specific cost on it because obviously in this specific quote, it was just the base package that comes with just the incident reporting. But there is a software package, and there could be a demo laid out for him, laid out for anybody else in our fire department to sit down and watch to see how he could utilize it if he likes the software. I know that it's a little technologically advanced, but it definitely works better than handwriting all the reports.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, the fire marshal is responsible to hand records and stuff to the state, correct, at least once a
He
year?
has reports, I don't know
Yeah.
what's exact, he has, I think, a couple of different reports he reports to the state each year.
Yeah.
And how do we currently do those? Do you know?
Is your report done? Yeah, okay, good, I don't know.
Yeah, I believe it's just
He has his
an
schedule,
older
he does
school
it.
method. Basically.
Old school?
Yeah, old school. Just
Well, I think
handwrite the
he's-
report and then
Right, and I
submit
think
it.
they do have, he is on a new program too with the state on
Yeah.
some stuff, so.
Yeah, there's a
But maybe
reporting section on there.
this might help him do those reports, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it would definitely help with the day-to-day for him as well, and it was something that the software company mentioned to me, and then I just mentioned back that obviously we'd have to sit and demo that a little further since the Chiefs Alliance, all the chiefs in the county sat through the demo last year. I resat through a demo, and I enjoyed it both times, so hopefully we'd be able to sit down with him, and if he enjoys it, then the program is definitely already going to be in the Firehouse, so then it's all about just popping on another computer and then giving them access through that module specifically.
Because I see the advantage there. You get the call, you resolve the call. But let's say in 5 years from now, how many calls did we get for carbon monoxide detectors and what happened? You can go back and start to track that.
Exactly.
And then do a projection. And that's
Yeah.
where I see the value, in
Right.
combining those two databases.
Exactly. I mean, in all of our old data, as long as I can find ways to manipulate it into some type of Excel spreadsheet, I can give that to Alpine software, and in our implementation, they can back us up. As long as I have info, they can put it in, which then allows us to generate reports, which allows us to see how many runs our apparatus have been on, how many calls our guys have been on in their gear. It definitely helps when we're doing everything.
Accountability.
Very, very much so.
So that would help also with the LoSAP numbers, correct?
Yeah, so it's a program where we use a third-party LoSAP percentage program that's in our bay. There's a similar but not exactly perfect program off of the Red NMX software, but it still does track attendance. So we could definitely use it as an ability, especially once we have the program in our hands. We can start messing around with it a little bit and seeing what it can and can't do compared to the access program we use to track our LoSAP numbers.
Which of the officers is gonna input the data?
So always under the guy, the second assistant chief is the one that always winds up doing the DIMFers reporting. But obviously, since this program's brand new and we didn't have the program before, I think I'll be delving into it because I really want to see how good it is and how bad it is, and then trying to get
extra data into it.
exactly, and then trying to get dad caught up to speed so that at least when you're looking at the program, it's not all Chinese. You know, it's easy to read. You know, basically.
Okay.
All right.
Just a question on parts and repairs, you've got enough in there? Because I know we see the invoices every month
Yeah.
when we send a fire
It-
truck.
It's, all right, so last year, the amount was considerably higher than the years past. I can't guarantee, obviously there's, knock on wood, that we would spend under what Benny had to spend last year for parts and repairs. There's plenty of things that are pending on the trucks. A lot of specifically emergency related things that are kind of on the back burner. So like the lighting package on 411 is expensive, but it's not necessary unless the lights burn out. Once these lights burn out, there are no replacement lights. The inverter for 411 is old, 27 years old. It does not support LED lighting, which most lighting nowadays is LED lighting. So, having to try to transition over, it's like a one-shot deal. Just like 413 got the upgrade, 411 would require the upgrade in one-shot deal, the same way. The driving seats for both 411 and 413, they're air ride seats. The air ride system doesn't work that great. So when you're driving sometimes, it can potentially be unsafe if you're hitting bumps and bouncing. So again, these are all things that once I get through enough of the year and enough chances for Hudson County Motors to come down or any other vendor to come down and take a look at the apparatus, I can find out what money I'll have and what money I won't. Then there is always that potential for older trucks, emergency repairs, all that kind of stuff. So it's definitely, I believe we should be able to be okay, but if there was anything that was gonna be increased, that's where I would want an increase, if I could get it.
Well, and again, over the years, you've always had, 21, you had when I give out these forms, I usually give them out November, December area. And you always had money left over in your budget, and that's when the chief would look and say, okay, fine, look, I'm gonna have, 10,000 left over, let me see if I can get those seats done. So it's not like you're ever going right to the penny. So it's kind of good because they reassess around November and see what they have left and can do projects like that. So there are no increases. And again, if the line item goes over for that repairs and whatever for that year, just because they did a one-shot deal, as long as he doesn't go over the overall, we're good.
And in the case of a catastrophic failure on one of the trucks.
Correct.
then we would.
Any
Emergency,
department, any department.
exactly.
I mean, you're looking at vehicles now that are, 20 years,
Yeah.
decades plus.
Correct.
And, you're looking at critical infrastructure,
Yeah.
powertrain and, things of that nature, so.
Right.
But
We don't have our crystal ball that tells
No,
us.
you can't. That's the whole thing with an older vehicle.
Exactly. The main thing too is that because of previous years where there's kind of been some wiggle on a lot of the ends based on spending, sometimes it's been allowing for the potential of spending from the previous year to help boost the spending for the next year. So like hose testing, ladder testing, pump testing, all these things are kind of creeping up because it's more of the hourly rates that are creeping up, or the companies are raising, you know, say we have 11,000 feet of hose, and it's 36 cents for 25 feet or something like that, they might go 37 cents. And now it kind of just bumps it up a couple $100 here and there. You know, that's where, once it starts tallying all the way up, I mean, sometimes there's discounts through these companies for getting those types of testing done. But like, I can already see that the costs from last year are less than the costs for this year, and that probably is gonna continue to snowball forward just because those companies need to make money on sending their guys out to do that kind of testing for us, to
But
keep
even
us in line.
something like the ladder truck, because it's just not us, Joey. I mean,
Yeah.
every time county gets a call, you're part of mutual aid, they call for Rockaway Borough ladder.
Yeah.
And, you know, that truck gets
It gets
used quite a
used,
bit, you
yeah.
know, so we,
Just this week.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
you know,
Yeah.
every time they have a, you know, one of the
Absolutely.
bad fires that, you know,
Exactly.
we need to roll on to support them. you know.
Don't mean to stray off course here, but take that point into view, kind of the county counts on us.
Yeah, I know that.
They know,
yeah, Glenn, I
We got the
know.
manpower to handle it,
Right.
and we know what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just this week, the Denville's call. you know.
Exactly, yeah.
You know.
So,
Alright, so now we go over to capital, it's under general capital for us, the third page. I put in what Joe had given me when we met.
yeah.
Joe, that's reflecting, I had turnout gear as 0.
Yeah,
You
so,
didn't have any, and then the radios, you had given me a quote at the time,
yeah.
so I have the 91 in there.
Yeah, so, since I was able to get all the paperwork to Patty on 17th, a couple quotes rolled in fairly late. So I do have a couple updates, on some numbers. Generally every year we've been doing 4 Scott back cylinders. I don't really have to explain too much about them. Those are the bottles that we wear on the back. The only additional that I was asking for is we do have 60-minute cylinders to fill our airbags and our rip pack. And to kind of balance out when those ones will be going in and out of service, this year would probably be the best year to purchase one of them. I think I sent a quote over, it's approximately like $1,900. So instead of $6,000 for 4 packs, it'd be $8,000 for 4 smaller bottles and 1 bigger bottle. They're just longer duration cylinders, same 4,500 PSI, just 60 minutes instead of 30. So you get a little bit more usage out of it on the scene, a lot less swapping, especially if you're trying to do emergency situations.
Time.
Exactly, all time,
Oh, I
yeah,
understand it, I get it.
exactly.
Changing the air packet, take at least 2-3 minutes.
Yeah, and unscrewing a thread that's got 15 threads on it, and you're trying to screw it down so it doesn't leak, yeah, it can
Especially in
be,
the dark.
exactly. We never get calls in the sunny, bright day, we get calls in the middle of the rain, sleet, and snow, right, so.
3 o'clock in the morning.
And you said it's the same price for the.
Yeah, so all the pricing should be the same for the 4 bottles, it's just the additional 1 60-minute, 4,500 PSI bottle, that is an additional cost, then it would be an up from the 6 to 8 to
That's a
cover.
composite bottle or?
Yeah, the composite bottles. Turnout gear, I got a quote, I did send it over to Patty. I think 1 set of turnout gear is the same, just about the same as it was last year. And I think we had talked, we were either gonna do 2 or 4 sets of gear. It's just good to buy a couple every year because they have like a 15-year shelf life. For active members who are consistently using them, it's more like 10. Kind of really run them down by crawling on your knees. We train a lot, so that kind of also does a little bit of a number on it. But I believe that price was somewhere in like the 6,500 range.
Per set.
That's just 1 set, yeah, per set, exactly.
Is this the 5910, it's for fire deck?
Yes, then that's it. The
So
only
about
thing,
$6,000.
correct, yeah, about $6,000 per set.
Per set.
Yeah.
How many?
That would be either 2 sets or 4 sets. 4 sets is what we've been doing every single year. And I have 4 members that could use an upgrade to gear. Now, the biggest thing with upgrading their current turnout gear is that their old turnout gear is still within the guidelines, so then that becomes our reserve gear. Most of our reserve gear is about as old as I am, so it's 26, 27 years old. which is not very compliant for going to train at academies. We used to utilize it in the past to send brand new members that needed Firefighter 1 training, but it's more beneficial for them to have fully up-to-date gear that hasn't been worn through and sat in the closet to dry rot for a little bit. Again, just older, you know, it's about trying to weed out all the older stuff so that potentially we don't have any issues with members wearing gear that they shouldn't wear to an active emergency scene. All right, the next biggest thing, so prior to the 17th, I hadn't gotten any really big information on the radios from the county. Basically, the way that we work is the county gave us radios, we pay a service fee every year for them to service the radios and maintain the service, which is, you know, the communications between them and us for dispatching. The old radios that we've had for fireground operations, which is just strictly in Rockaway Borough, I believe were purchased somewhere in 2005 or 2006. I believe last year we had brought up to your attention that the parts for these radios are now defunct. It's almost nearly impossible to find the parts, and an upgrade to the system does not equivalent potentially to what we had kind of docketed in the capital as of last year. There's two main things. First of all, the radios that we're looking to upgrade to are the same ones that the county currently utilizes for our chiefs and our truck officers to use when we're on scenes. That's the best radio we could find for the longest term that we could probably be using them. So we've been using radios for 20 years. I'm looking to hopefully use a radio upgrade for at least 10 or 15 years, right? Like, we're not gonna be buying these radios and then having to replace these radios going forward. With that being said, the amount of radios, very specifically, one for one, to replace is 24. That's exactly how many we would require to replace all the ones on the trucks, the additional backup radios, and parts. That's the thing. The quote that I sent over to Patty from the Motorola vendor, that's a state contract bid, was approximately $220,000 for all 24. By purchasing 24 at a time, we get a bulk discount rate 25%. I don't know what the specific number is to get the bulk discount, but basically, without the bulk discount, 9 radios or 10 radios, about a third of them, is $100,000. So realistically, by purchasing the large amount, we get a significant discount, and then the entire fleet gets replaced in one fell swoop, which is beneficial because the rates for each radio has been consistently going up year over year for at least the last 6 or 7 years. The state bid contract was just re-signed with Motorola, and in that contract signature, they were allowed to increase their rates a specific amount year over year. So if we were to break this apart, even though monetarily that is sometimes an easier move, it potentially could cost a considerable amount more to fully deck out the fleet than currently if you buy them all at once. Say 3 years, $100,000, account for an increase, we're talking $310,000 versus $220,000 over 3 years.
So what's the difference between leaf radios that you're proposing at $220 and last year when Benny gave us for like a fifth of the cost for the
So
four
Benny
radios?
looked up a single band radio, which is only does one specific type, which is face-to-face, kind of like a security team radio at like an office building.
And that's kind of what we have now?
No, so the radios that we have now, we actually have tri-band radios, and this is a quad-band radio. The new service, the 700, 800 UHF, is what the county just switched to. All state agencies are switching over to it. Currently, state agencies are still purchasing these radios, which is kind of a benefit for us because we're actually involved in the giant purchase. We're not 5 years late on it, right? So that if potentially upgrades came down the line, we're not, again, behind the 8 ball, 5 years down the line. All the county radios are these radios, so the current ones we have in the county, which I'm not sure really how the logistics work, if we own them and then we pay for them to keep the service on them, or if the county owns like the 9 or whatever that our department has, and then we also pay for the service on it, but I would be getting these ones in green instead of black, so that we can tell which ones are ours and which ones are theirs as well. So we don't mix parts, we don't have any issues. If these are our radios, those are yours, I don't ever want to hear like, oh, you guys broke one of our radios. We'll be like, no, ours are green, yours are black. We're good.
So this 200-something doesn't have the current discount in it right now?
That has the current discount in it.
Okay.
There's a 25% discount on bulk for that purchase of all of those accessories with the radio, which is a considerable amount because each radio is approximately like $8,000 without a discount, maybe $8,400. So with the discount, we're talking a $6,000 radio. It's pretty good, in comparison.
So Patty, the way you have the money in the future, years laid out, is that the way you have to do it, or you have to do it differently?
Well, he's changing what they proposed last year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically, the way I can explain it is the radios that Benny had proposed to, again, single band radios, different company with
So that includes them.
potentially less support in this area. Motorola is the main carrier in this area. There are other companies that sell radios. I would be better suited to say we purchase radios that more people have around here, and to not present any confusion on the fireground radios and the command radios, trying to keep everything the same, makes it easier to use.
Would you go there, please, because you just described something every time, we get together.
Correct.
Invite us to one of the get-togethers. We have tri-band radios right now, but in an actual, you're deployed, fire, active.
Yeah.
From what I'm gathering, some radios don't talk to each other,
Correct.
and
Yeah.
some don't talk
Basically, the age of the radios is presenting a problem. There's 2 types of ways that radios communicate with each other: digital and analog. And the problems with all of the new radio waves out in the air is it causes a lot of interference. These radios are older, their receivers and their transmitters are not as good quality as the newer ones. So we do run into radio issues with like a lot of feedback and pickup, and the batteries on some of these don't last very long. You could have a prolonged incident where everybody needs to be having their fireground radio, and it could die in 15 minutes. The lithium-ion battery shot, and there is no replacement batteries. So now we're, potentially causing.
So how old are the radios that are existing now?
I'm, without having any access to the MSI program to see when a purchase was made for radios, nobody since I've been on the department has purchased radios. So that's 13 years at least, and I was under the assumption from conversations with ex-chiefs that either the chief in 2005 or 2006 was the one that purchased
And
radios.
you're Pratt.
Yes,
So they're 20 years old.
20 years old.
So this, no longer face-to-face, you can talk to anyone.
Literally talk to anyone, and we'd be able to pay for the county. So again, it'd be a recurring cost every year of $4,800 to the county for them to keep these up to date with the county thing. But then any single radio that's on the scene can talk to the county, other departments, and ourselves, even ones that aren't on the county. Having it multi-band means we can find their transmittal codes and get it onto the radio.
So there's 4,800 savings a year by not paying that fee anymore with these new radios?
Yeah.
And then, sorry, one other question. So the bulk purchase will be 200-something thousand, 25% savings, whereas the one-time layout has to be about 300,000, right? So
Yeah.
you'll get a discount of 25% by doing it one time.
Basically, yes.
And we get rid of the 4,800 service fee to the county.
So the $4,800 service fee is a recurring every year.
Every year.
Yeah, that we
One-time
have.
fee for everything, right?
One-time fee for the 220.
Yeah.
The 4,800 is every year. So we pay. I don't know specifically how many are docked to the fire department.
Okay.
I think it might be 9 or 11, something like that. Maybe it's 10. Maybe it's 13. We have a small group of radios that we already pay for service with the county
Okay.
year over year. This would just be an additional, cost. 14. So we pay $2,800 to the county every year to keep the radios serviced and actively communicating with them. And then we'd be continuing by getting these radios programmed by the county, and then.
So with this, though, you can actually direct another neighboring town to where to come at, say, go through the dispatch
Absolutely.
and contact their
Yes.
dispatch, so it's straight based.
Yeah,
So you could communicate with, say, Dover or your.
Denver.
correct.
Boom,
Yes,
If you were to call
exactly.
one mutual aid, you can.
100%.
be cleaner and easier.
Exactly. So the current fireground radios can't. So the only radio that's allowed to talk is the truck radio. And the truck radios, again, you have to be at the truck to use it.
You have to use
Yeah.
it.
So,
Again, I think the advantage to going this route is the fact that there's other mutual aid companies that are out there already using this, or going to it.
yeah.
So you're gonna gain right there, with communications is key, as everyone
It'll be
knows.
uniform. It'll be
So
uniform.
it'll be more
Exactly.
uniform. If you're inside and you're having an issue, you get on the radar, everybody's hearing. You know, not just Rockaway guys saying, oh my God, there's a problem.
100%.
Or same thing with them, you go to them and they're having a problem, they call you right over that radio, you hear it, everybody hears it.
Again, you want to say a third party through
Boom,
dispatch.
right,
the
right
message.
there.
Correct. Yeah.
Right there.
And more patrol, God forbid, somebody's in a house and. all of a
Exactly.
sudden-
Now it has
That's worst case. you know.
The biggest thing too is with this, by getting these fireground radios programmed through the county, there's emergency signals these radios can send to the dispatchers to let people know that they're in trouble. So the only thing you can reach to is your radio when you're inside of a house and you're stuck. It'll activate, and immediately the dispatcher who is assigned to our call is gonna call me on the radio and be like, Chief, radio, whatever their call sign is having trouble. And that can be another way to potentially,
An upgraded pass device.
exactly.
Just a question. What would be the minimum number we would need?
To fill the trucks, 18,
Minimum.
minimum. To replace one-to-one is the 24. That's exactly how many radios we currently have, yeah.
Would you still get the discount with 18?
Yeah.
That's when I'd have to reach back out to the vendor and find out if that discount is still there. If it's still there, then yeah, I would definitely.
It might be, because they're calling that 25% that you're talking about just the New Jersey State
Right,
contract discount.
but
so-
because of bulk purchasing. So when I went through Keith from the county, he's one of the main radio communications guys there. He was the one that had mentioned to me that bulk gets the discounts, especially through the third-party vendor that the county uses. I mean, their bulk must have been considerably larger than the amount that we're looking to purchase, but still, any discount, in my opinion, is better. And purchasing them all at the same time prevents any overlap and inequity on the trucks as well.
And it's just a timeline on the whole fleet then.
Correct, yeah.
Another 15 years.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly,
Do it again.
correct.
I have another question. Pat, in the fire truck, is there any way you have to do the one-time bond when you do this fire truck, or can you lay out plan money for a year allocation? How does that fire truck money work?
And we could technically, if we're gonna go out and put out for the whole fire truck, it would be, we'd go out, when we go out, we'd go out for all the money. Cause again, we're not saving for that,
So
so
there's no
that
plan,
can go
okay.
out for a bond. Again, I don't know.
Well, I know for
I know
years and
other
years,
towns, they do fundraisers, I don't know. if
Yeah,
Firehouse
so
plan to do a fundraiser
The
for that.
biggest thing I could say is, especially because we had that conversation with the NARIS and the NIMFers, there are potentially grants available for Apparatus, and that's where potentially we'd be able to go, because even the docketed number that we have on our capital here is about, a half a truck nowadays. For the ladder truck, it's only about a third of the cost, so considerably under what we would need, and that's why obviously Patty is just leaving that there as a bookmark, showing that that's what it is, but I mean, the bookmark, to be more realistic, you're talking, even if you're replacing an engine, it's probably $1 million.
That's fire, the ladder truck, that's the first
The
one?
the
First
ladder
one?
truck should be the first thing that we would replace, and that would be the first committee we'd set up. So our ladder truck is what is called a Quint. It has a ladder and a pump. That's why the county utilizes us so much for mutual aid, because we can show up to a scene, hook up to a hydrant, and set up a ladder to the roof, so we can complete all operations with one truck.
I think at this point, that number is kind of open between maybe donations, grants, and
Yeah.
all the hockey.
Right, there'd be a lot, yeah.
Guarantee.
You
So
guys
it's-
would be willing to do some kind of fundraiser?
Yeah, we can explore every single avenue we would need to in order to potentially encumber the funds for a truck. Now, the truck build times, from what I've been told by multiple sources, at earliest, you're talking 18 months.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can skip the line by doing stock trucks, but when you do stock trucks, which currently 413 is a stock truck, that's when it was purchased in 2000.
1998.
No, that's 2001. When it was purchased in 2001, 413 was a stock truck. So basically, it pulled up to the station, they backed it in, it fit, it shipped. So they had been taking it around doing shows with it, and then it was a discounted rate because they had been driving it already and setting it up at places.
So even if you got the truck into 26, you're really realistically not looking to bid 27?
27, potentially almost 28, yeah.
So how much
Is
longer
what
do you think you
I'm
have for a realistic timeline? What do you think realistically, if it's a good time?
I think that the fire department discussed having a committee put together and
Yeah,
giving us.
I can get a committee together, and then based on the committee's, checking out of all the companies, gathering of quotes and different builds and stuff like that, we could potentially have picked something by the end of this year, so that by the time Dad comes back next year, it'd be a topic that can be brought up for everything. I mean, obviously, we'll have differing opinions at the fire department, but we'll be able to probably settle down onto specifically which truck we would be looking at, and then be able to go from there on whatever that means.
Joe, what's the reach on that truck?
So our truck's reach right now, it's 75 feet high off the truck. You're getting to most houses in the borough. As more and more construction goes in that's taller potentially, or has different, variances away from the road or stuff like that. I mean, you could be getting into some tight spots too if you can't get the truck behind certain buildings, or set up in front of certain buildings. Shorter actually sometimes is better, but longer will always help. They make the same style truck, a 3-tiered fly truck, in 85 feet now. They also make them at 105 foot now. I don't specifically know if we need 105 feet, because then you get too big of a truck, which can't fit down all our tight streets. So it's a balancing act, but there's definitely similar height trucks, length trucks that have 85 foot reaches instead of 75 foot now.
So as I understand, you could a committee, during the course of the year, and, discuss all this, and things like that, so.
Yeah.
Let's get back to 2025.
Exactly. Next on here, we have the Knox boxes for the vehicles. So each of the apparatus has a Knox box on it, currently. The Knox boxes are older. Again, I don't have a specific time frame. I just don't know when they were purchased for these trucks. They hold a key, and inside that key is basically a key to almost every building in town. You can go up to a Knox box that's affixed to the outside of a business, and you can access it, get out the building's keys, which prevents, property damage and all this other stuff by trying to get inside doors. You get an activated CO detector in a business, instead of popping down the door, you not activate the Knox box, you unlock the door, and you walk in like a normal person,
So are these replacement Knox boxes, or is it just incremental?
So basically, this is just an upgrade. So there's things called digital keys now. So it would allow businesses to purchase a cheaper option to Knox boxing their building, which is literally just like a key access. They put a bonus thing in there. Instead of having to buy, an extra key and a box, they could just attach on to somebody else's digitally. There's 100 per system, I think, is digital keys when me and a couple of the lieutenants looked at it. So it's a benefit, it's an extra, but it definitely helps with the upgrade. Accessing buildings safely, quickly, and without damage is, obviously makes it easier for us to do our jobs. If every time we had to go inside a building, we had to break down the door, people wouldn't want us there.
Okay, and then, just a conversation we had about this is.
Yes.
This is really a fire prevention thing, so.
Correct.
I'm wondering if maybe that item can maybe be funded for, the fire funds.
Okay.
We can have that conversation with the fire marshal, it's about 10 grand, and see if maybe that can be funded through that.
And how many units do you need, Joe? 4?
So there's the chief's car, and then the 3 apparatus. So it's 5 units. That cost is almost pretty much exactly what it is to replace all of them, and then get the new upgraded digital formatting for programming the keys, programming the access on our trucks. So basically, each of our members gets a 4-digit punch key. They add that into the little box that sits in the truck. You type it in, and then there's a call log, so you can see every single person who's ever accessed the boxes, so that you also have a little bit more accountability on who's been opening up doors to buildings and stuff going forward as well. But you know, it's just a straight 1-for-1 upgrade, and then obviously gives us a new app that we can use to add things, so all the chiefs, officers can have apps on their phones. If anybody's having issues on the fire ground, we can troubleshoot our own problems with getting access to our Knox boxes on the trucks to then access them on the buildings and get inside. Okay. Alright. So the next thing on there, I have the Holmatro Forcible entry tool. Originally, this tool I wanted separate in the line item for the airbags and lifting. So I'll talk about each of them first. The T1 tool is basically a one-man wrecking crew. It does multiple functions for breaking down doors that don't have Knox capabilities. And because of limited manpower during the day, this old school method pneumatic system where you can pump open a door is available inside the same Halligan tools that we currently utilize. This has multiple features, including a wedge attachment, cuttering attachment, so you can cut bolt cutter, instead of having to grab multiple tools and carrying like a giant bag down seam, you grab this one tool, it can do like 5 different things.
You're talking like car accidents or everything?
Car accidents, house fires, kid gets his hand stuck in the fence, because it can cut things, you need to access a fence lock, and it can cut that, It's just a good multi-tool that does all the same stuff that the old ones did, and then some.
This thing will cut a 3/4 inch piece of steel.
Yeah.
Who else has one around here?
No one, because this is brand new.
Brand new?
And this is a brand new piece of equipment that Holmatro just rolled out. It's their newest equipment on their website. They're excited about it. I'm excited about it. The pneumatic pump method for opening up the doors is something that used to be used a lot, and then they kind of went back to the caveman, let's bash and break the door open with a lot of brute force. It's a nice little callback to a very good functionality.
Basically, right now, the door prop that we have purchased down in the field is a 2-man operation. This would eliminate to a 1-man operation.
And I just wanna note, cause again,
Yeah,
as you said, it came
yes,
on.
yeah, they all
The
came
price
together.
of that tool alone is just like about $2,600.
Yeah. At the minimum, getting one for each of the trucks is probably the best thing, so that'd be 3. But again, if we were gonna be doing it, outfitting all 5, including the chief's car, because again, I show up to the scene as my one person, I don't have a backup, so if I have the tool in the chief's car, I can already get the job started.
3 or 4.
So
Are you requesting?
5 is what I'm requesting, 3 would be the minimum to replace for all, or at least additionally add this to all the trucks. I wouldn't get one.
Do they have a warranty if this is brand new? 100% replacement warranty?
Yeah, so this would be one of those things where I could reach back out to our dealer. We're gonna get a demo on all this stuff, included with the purchase of all this equipment. So he's gonna come out, we have our door prop already, so he's probably gonna show us exactly how to use every single piece on the door prop, which is also good for then us to transition that, like train the trainer kind of thing. They'll train us, we'll train the rest of our guys. And then on to the next thing, again, I was talking like they come out with a demo, our airbag and lifting system for motor vehicle accidents. When you have trapped patients under vehicles or under objects, we use airbags. The airbag system is also approximately 20 years old.
1990.
Yeah. So we've had basically the one thing right now is the control box very specifically is outdated, but new control boxes are not compatible with old hoses. Obviously every manufacturer likes to keep themselves thing. We purchased all of our other tools through Holmatro, so they had an airbag lifting system that comes with a brand new controller, brand new hoses, all the other attachments. And then I was quoted for 5 sizes of bags. We currently have 3 on the trucks, so it could be something where I would sit down before purchase and through demo and see what really is necessary for our response measures. Having a big bag that can move 38 tons is very nice because we have a lot of school buses, tractor trailers, dump trucks that run through town, especially on the highway. So, you know, worst case scenario, we'd at least be able to start and get things moving off so we can potentially extricate victims and get them out.
But we just need one set of it.
We just need 1 set, so that only goes on the rescue truck. We have, like I said, we have a control unit, 3 bags, and then the air bottle that goes next to it that allows the pneumatic system to work.
Question for Joe, is any other towns have this manufactured?
So this manufactured from Holmatro is used by Dover, Rockaway Township, and Denville. So
Okay.
all our mutual
We
aid.
can intermain them.
Yes,
if we
all
need
of our,
help.
yeah, exactly. So even like the cutting tools and stuff we purchased in the past, a few years ago, we could literally show up on a scene and everybody knows how to use our stuff and we know how to use theirs.
So quick question, in your quote, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different
Yes.
sizes kind of bags, so you would want one of each of them?
Yeah, so it'd be one of each of those, and then God forbid we get in the demo and like we see that the 38 ton bag is really good. Maybe I don't get the 11 ton bag, you know, only because they're different sizes. Their dimensions is all that's different. So then smaller bags obviously can fit in smaller spaces, bigger bags in bigger spaces, but the bigger the bag, the higher.
I'm gonna try
tonnage
to
it
get this for quotes, and then
Correct.
I'm gonna quote it at 1 bag each.
Yes, 1 bag each, 5 bags total, and then.
My question now, Joey, about
Yeah.
other towns, because once you commit to the bag, you can't remove it.
Right,
That
so
way you
that's,
commit to the job.
that's the way, by having 5 bags, you can put a bag in, disconnect the air hose, it has a pressure hold device on it, keeps it stable there, and then you can hook up the hose to another bag and raise again. Yeah, so the system is, you know, a lot more advanced now than it used to be. You can kinda do that now, but you lose a lot more air on the older bags over a duration of a call than these ones. These ones hold substantially longer.
Alright.
And then the last thing on the docket is the exhaust system for the trucks. Originally, when I spoke with Patty, my intentions was just to replace for 411, 413. The quote I got, because we have the rail system for all 3 trucks, was for all 3 trucks to get the new magnetic connector grabbers, which is basically just a nice new method for when you're pulling in and out of the station, the magnets distract, and instead of having it pneumatically held onto the tailpipe of the truck, it just disconnects as soon as it has a little bit of tension on it. And you can set the magnet strength. So obviously we'll test them out once they're in.
What was the quote on that?
So that quote was the amount that you put in there, that was all 3 trucks getting
Oh, the
the
9
upgrade.
is right?
Yes, so there was no additional cost, they quoted me for all 3, because I sent them all 3 of
So
our
what's the other
exhaust
stuff,
templates.
12 you said?
Yes, 412. We basically, I had my line officers take pictures of the exhaust pipes, they get specific connections, and then the magnetic grabber just matches it. They put brand new hose up to the ceiling, and then because this system doesn't need the pneumatics, it doesn't need to be hooked up to the compressor to hold. Yeah, it's just a magnetic, and then once it's magneted, all the vapors just go right out through the regular evacuation system that we have.
So you eliminate the other problem of, in an emergency, we
Right, exactly.
exhaust system.
Yeah, if God forbid the compressor were to be out of service like it had been, we're not potentially putting CO into the base.
So this basically is a Department of Labor requirement for Firehouse.
Correct. It is.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Percentage.
Yeah.
No, percentage.
Exactly. And it was one of those things where originally when we were sold 412, we were talking about the DEF system on it, which is like, it's supposed to be environmentally friendly, all that kind of stuff. It still does put CO into the bag. So obviously by hooking it up to a hose, we'll eliminate any of that.
With town hall right back.
Yes, exactly. If somebody were running the truck, and the ventilation was poor inside the building, you know, stagnant, you could be having issues inside the town hall, setting off the CO detectors if, you know, there was ever a problem. Because obviously when the trucks function well, and they're only run when we have to leave, there should never be problems. The doors are open normally too, but better safe than sorry.
I just want to go back to the radios.
Yeah, of course.
Will Picatinny be able to involve
Yes.
this? They're one of the major utilities today.
Yes, so Picatinny utilizes the county radios, every single one of their, again, this is one of those things too, every single one of the paid departments also has done the same thing that we're doing, which is going one-to-one, same radio that the county has for all their members, has the same safety, the same radio communication capability, and yeah, we can definitely, they're on the county dispatch, and they use the same radios as us, so it's a big benefit.
And I believe that's everything.
That is everything.
I'd just like to bring up incentives, if I could. As you know, prior to the last council meeting, the fire committee met to discuss what incentives we might be able to talk about this year to encourage folks to join the fire department and also for them to be retained. So I'd just like to run through the 5 items. So we talked about waiving dog and cat license fees. We talked about reimbursement for hours attending Firefighter 1. We talked about a tuition reimbursement program, likely up to about $500 for attendance at CCM or VOTEC. We talked about a clothing allowance increase to likely under the $600 threshold for taxation, and then also some reimbursement for gym memberships. So, Patty, I'd love to sit with you to see if we could cost out what these items would mean to our budget, so that we could, you know, talk about it more specifically. I don't know if there's anything you want to add.
No, obviously it makes it a lot easier when incentives are very, specifically like these ones, they're very quick, right? If I say dog and cat licenses, that's quick. Obviously, LoSAP means that the people still have to show up to earn the incentive. Same thing with clothing allowance, they still have to show up to earn their incentive. But all the other things like that, again, it just makes it easier for recruitment. I mean, people love to hear that whatever they're giving, they're gonna get, right? That's just how it is. Unfortunately, not everybody joins. So any leverage I have in a conversation, you know, for recruitment is nice. It's a big benefit.
What
So
is
the
it?
only thing I just, and I always just wanna keep flagging is, we do have to talk, cause that reimbursement that we're gonna pay $20 an hour, that could, get you a 1099 again, and then they have to pay taxes. So I just wanna keep all that, I just don't want anybody to be blindsided.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
but definitely.
in that specific instance, I feel like the person, again, whatever paperwork wise on the back end, tax wise, I feel like they'd be happier that they're getting reimbursed for their, first of all, their commitment to go to the training for
How many hours is Firefighter on?
it's over 120, it might be 160 now. It's a large chunk of time that these people are committing, obviously on work nights and an entire Saturday. So if anybody works a Saturday, I mean, there's only 2 classes that run normally. It's Tuesday, Saturday, or Wednesday, Saturday.
I used to do Sundays.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
I'm just trying for costing out.
Yeah, so basically, I mean, they'd probably be thrilled that after, you know, again, we have specific requirements. They go to Fire One, they maintain their percentage, whatever that winds up being, it's probably similar along the lines of our LoSAP and clothing allowance for a full year, then they'd be eligible to earn their reimbursement. So it's not like they go and you give them the money right away, you know? Because I don't want to become the college for sending everybody to Firefighter 1 for them to move out of town.
Right.
Yeah.
What is the current gym membership fee?
So the current gym membership that we had was the discounted rate at Fitness Factory. I think it's $120 for the year. Maybe it was $150 last year. I don't know if there will be an increase because we're not. I think we're a month or 2 away from our renewal. And then all the other gyms in town, their prices were considerably higher than the Fitness Factory's.
One concern that just came up, and
Yeah, go ahead.
we were trying to, maybe we can get your input on it, is we were saying if we pay for a gym membership, because sometimes when you don't pay for something like that, just pay, if like, just so we don't waste it, we were trying to like think of some type of like, that you have to maintain a certain amount of time.
Yeah, I
Any
mean,
thoughts on that, or do
yeah,
you guys do that?
I agree that if it's gonna be an incentive that people should earn, that people should be having to maintain some type of attendance. So whether that's with the gym and it's a separate form and I leave a book there and you fill it out, and then if they miss.
Well, do you have to like punch in when you go to fitness?
Yeah,
center?
Normally you do it, fitness, right, most gyms have their key scanning cards, so.
I was gonna
that-
call them and just
that'd be
say
one of
they
those
have a
things-
way of tracking too.
Exactly, especially if we're on a giant group rate, you can track who's actually used the gym membership for a specific amount of days. Like again, if somebody goes once a week, I feel like that's pretty good, right? So that's 52 times a year, that'd be excellent. Now, it'd be better if everybody went more, but again,
Right.
that would be a good start
Well, that's the thing,
potentially
we're not
in
saying-
earning the reimbursement back. If everybody's going once a week, maybe it'd be something too where, maybe it's not like you go once a week and punch the card and leave. We can try to maybe figure that out as well. I don't want it to become like too easy, but not too
Right,
hard.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of when we were having our discussion, exactly what we were trying to say.
Yeah.
We don't care, again, obviously, if we're doing this, we want you guys to go and work out and
Correct.
all that. It's just a matter of, just like anything, if you're not paying for it, it's just easy to say, you know what,
Right, exactly.
not my money.
Yeah, so the council president and, the CFO sit down and talk about this.
I do have a question for you, Joe. The government body's trying to do some retention for you for membership. Have you guys considered doing anything? You have any ideas?
So, outside for like retention purposes.
Or new membership?
So for new membership, I feel like I'm in a slightly different boat. So far this year, I've had 6 people put in applications to join. So I'm hoping that maybe I'm getting out there just a little bit more. In town all the time, and I know every single member who is Firefighter 1 certified and isn't already. So I've been trying to really knock on their doors first, but trying to get into potentially the schools again is a big thing. Trying to fill out some type of flyer to attach to the home and school. There's probably a lot of newer families in towns that don't know or volunteer. Even, however busy their days are, they're probably not centered around Rockaway Borough always. So they don't know or volunteer, they don't know that they can come down, knock on the door, get an application to join. So hopefully, if I get a couple initiatives out, we wanna do our open house fire prevention again in October. That was a big thing. The last time we did that, we got 4 members to join. Since then, 6 years ago, those members have moved on, housing, jobs, all this other stuff, but they were on and fully active for 3+ years each. Some for 5 or 6. Our lieutenant for the last couple of years who just moved out of town, he made it up to lieutenant. So again, those open houses work. We did a poll that time, and 70% of the people that were at our event that we polled thought we were a paid department. So it's tricky, people think you're paid, they're not gonna come knock on the door,
What's the minimum age for a junior member?
So minimum age for a junior member is 16 years old.
Okay.
You have to hit 16, then you're allowed to put in your application. Specifically on that, it's a good leeway. I actually have a member, based on our changes to the ordinance, we did 2.5 road miles through our bylaws for the ordinance for membership to join. So it could be people who live slightly outside the borders of Rockaway Borough. I had a 16-year-old that just put in an application, and he lives outside the walls of Rockaway Borough. We didn't really tailor that 2.5 road miles to junior membership because it's challenging for a junior member who potentially doesn't have a license to get here. So I wanted to know what we could do on our end, us with you, because basically I'm in a bind. Obviously I'd love that he's interested in joining the fire department, but realistically I couldn't take him even though he wants to join us very specifically in his email.
Consider using the footprint of Marshall's Regional. So in other words, Wharton probably not.
Yeah.
White Meadow Lake, definitely.
Yeah, because the biggest thing is like he lives outside of our town borders. So it's like it's a weird thing where like I don't know if he's covered because we didn't really situate our junior membership program because we didn't have any juniors joining. So to give him an application and meet with him is one thing, but then to get him to join, as we pass this along to you guys once the process is done for them to actively join, I just wanna know if there's any issues from your guys' end or any way we can try to,
I'd
Speed
say
up a
in
process.
a year he'll be driving,
right, well, that's it, you know?
right?
It's more about just making sure that it's all, the i's are dotted, the t's are crossed, you know, kind of thing, cause he's a 16-year-old, lives outside the borders, but within our minimum mileage, so I just wanna make sure we do everything right. When I brought it up to our meeting floor, all of the ex-chiefs kind of were like, we kind of left that like as an open, like we didn't change anything from the old, and then again, junior
So I was
membership.
just checking with Kim,
Yeah.
so last time I think you guys changed your bylaws and then we
Yeah.
did an ordinance to back it.
Correct.
Is it a matter of changing the language
So
in that?
basically, I believe that it would be something where it'd have to match up. So like the junior membership is still listed as the old stuff in our bylaws.
So it's just, so you would have to
It's-
adjust the bylaws.
yes,
so
and
you
then-
have to do the ordinance.
Yeah, just to make sure that it's covered because I don't wanna have any issues, especially, you know.
Well, if
If-
you adjust your bylaws, then just give it to Kim and we'll put it on for an
Perfect.
ordinance.
Yeah, because basically the way it works too is like if his father was gonna join and he had a sponsor, then he'd be allowed to join, right? So like his father meets the requirements, he could join as a sponsor. Since he doesn't have a sponsor because he wants to join on his own accord, that's the trickier part, you know.
That was the selling point to that.
Exactly.
Is that the students at Morris Hills need, how many hours does your son need?
Oh, I forget you.
It's a lot of hours, but that's a community volunteer.
Yeah,
So
and
it's,
see, you can't,
it's
yeah.
another point where, you know, go up and talk to, Principal Toriello and say, you know, we'd like to come in and.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely one of the times when I joined the fire department, we had like 15 junior members in the department at the same time,
Oh, yeah.
which was crazy. Obviously, you know, it lined up a lot with everybody had kids that were all the same age, and we all joined because we all wanted to do what we were already doing, which was hang out at Firehouse, you know, 100 times a year.
But
And then
there's a number of members like yourself,
Exactly.
Chris Bagney,
There could
that
be-
started as
Right.
a junior member
Exactly.
and went all the way up to chief.
And that's why getting back in the high
multiple
school
times.
with job fairs, career fairs, flyers, pamphlets, I mean, you know, even our scholarship, you know, we get a handful of people, but I feel like it should be like all 72 kids that go to Thomas Jefferson and graduate every year, right? It should be putting in the application, like what's the worst that happens, you know? But again, it's more of a transparency thing, they have to know that we exist and that it's an opportunity and that it's here.
Yeah.
Rob Smith one time made a comment and that you guys maybe should put volunteer on the front of the bill, like, cause I think it just said Rockaway Fire
Yeah,
Department.
I mean, that's,
He made a
yeah,
suggestion one time that maybe the word volunteer should go there because when the people are driving by,
yeah,
they're only
exactly.
gonna know.
Yeah, I mean, it was nice when we had the 125th, we had the sign up, you know, volunteering since 1897. You know, it's probably something along the same lines, we just get another sign and put it up and
Yeah.
make sure it's always there and in good condition so
How
that
about
people
we
can read.
how about we flash it on the new digital sign out there, volunteers?
Why?
Volunteers needed.
Oh,
We
yeah,
did,
we
yeah,
can do that.
we used to run a membership.
Yeah.
Sign for you
Yeah.
a few times a year.
We can run that.
Yep.
I would just like
Appreciate
to
it.
express my gratitude to the fire department for all that you do every day to support our town. I now get the alerts when you get a call, they are very busy, and they do it with incredible skill that's valued not only by us, but the surrounding municipalities, so thank you.
For your dedication.
Yeah, we really appreciate
Now
it.
we're on.
Thank you, chief. Thank you,
I don't know what the person.
Thank you, guys.
So, that being said, we will have police next week. I will have to go in and rework my numbers on this, because obviously the number I had gave you guys is no longer valid. So, after we meet with the chief of police and the lieutenant next week, I'll probably get, that following week, try to get all the numbers so I know what our total capital is, and then we can go from there on deciding what we want to do. So, we did run through the budget, all the budgets except for now police. Does anybody, I know I ran through a lot last week, does anybody have any comments or questions with any of the budgets? I know Melissa, you weren't here, so we did get to run through them all. Take time, if you have any questions for the weekend, take your binder if you have any questions, but, pretty much a lot of the departments stayed flat. A couple things that went up was due to SDL, new program that we're using between, the state is making us do inspections through, people need to be able to do it online, so we are utilizing SDL more. All towns are starting to use SDL or something similar to it. SDL seems to be the most popular, and a couple of our departments are utilizing it, that's where some of them went up. So, anybody have any comments on what I ran through last week?
I have a question regarding the dumpsters.
The dumpsters, okay.
And you, correct me if I'm wrong, but you didn't seem to know how much we needed to budget for this certain
Okay, so
new
the-
undertaking that we're taking on.
Okay, so that's a two-step thing. So one of the dumpsters, so we need to now start putting, we are getting dumpsters to put the spoils in so we can get tested. The part I wasn't sure about is the testing of the spoils and the the removal of, because we're still trying to find a place, find out how much it's actually gonna cost to take the spoils out of town. And we're not 100% sure on the testing. We think it's anywhere from $1,000 to $1,200, and I don't know how many events we're gonna have.
Yeah.
So it's an unknown. So what's gonna happen is every water main break, every road repair, when we dig that up, we again used to have a past practice with forever that it would be utilized somewhere else in town, but now.
Yeah, we used to use it as fill, correct?
In the location, yeah.
And we've been doing that for,
I don't know how many years.
and it's,
Beginning of time, probably.
am I correct to assume that due to an overzealous resident calling the county and the DEP, we can no longer do it the way we did it?
I wouldn't define it as that, it's what the rule is.
I'm sorry?
That's what the rule is, that's what we follow.
Correct me if I'm wrong though, most municipalities do redirect it and put it
They've
into
been
this
hit by
bill.
the DEP also.
I do have a question about the containers. How many containers do we have now? Dumpsters?
As far as for.
To put the dirt in,
In a public works yard right now?
that I don't know, but the two, he's gonna get two that are gonna just be utilized just for this.
Okay, so we have two right now down there as it is now.
Right, but we, again, we're incurring costs. Sure, go ahead.
So one's slated for blacktop, one is slated for spoils. Spoils, I can understand, we need to store it, test it, move it out. But maybe we could purchase one and just use the blacktop, let's load it in a dump truck, just take it right to the Weldon asphalt and get it out of here. Because you don't want to stockpile a blacktop. It's already a hazard.
No, it's gonna go out as is, but it's just a matter of, I think that's just right now what the DPW director wants to have.
But let me restate what you said. When it's removed from the road, it should be removed right away. Don't store it. That should not be stored in any property we have. It's already a hazardous material. So just take it around out of the facility and dump it, because they're recycled. You know what I'm saying?
I would have to talk to, I would have to.
That's what I'm saying, we already have two containers in the yard now. I just need to see at least one more for the spoils. So they're gonna sit longer, but the blacktop's not something you wanna sit around for weeks on end. That you wanna get out of here. The spoils, you gotta get a vendor.
Right, so we can test it and all that.
Yeah, that's gonna take a little longer.
Okay, I will check with Billy.
If the test comes back and there's no hazardous material in the spoils of the overburden, can we use that for fill then?
We're being told we need to truck it out.
We can't screen it.
We can't screen it and just reuse it because if there's no
Our
contamination.
understanding, based off of what we got from the state and whatever, is that it should be trucked out.
So we're incurring a lot of extra costs with this process, correct?
Again, I won't know, and you don't know what you don't know. I mean, wouldn't it be great if we never got a water main again? Like, I don't know, like, it's hard to say exactly what it's gonna
Something we
be
should
like.
think
We're
about.
taking a guess.
Something we should think about next time the solid waste contract comes in, maybe we incorporate that into the solid waste. Because we once did that, was the garbage company, whoever it was, they gave us a container throughout the year, and we filled the spoils in that. They took one, so we had no problem with it. That went for a while, but then it got too costly.
I was gonna say, remember there was.
They got costly,
Yeah,
yeah. They
okay.
said, no more, we can't do it. Well, Mayor Council said that at the time. The past mayor said that, we can't do it.
Correct me if I'm wrong too, there's a big difference between contaminated and solid.
There is, but
waste,
still,
correct?
if we could talk to whoever has the garbage contract, we still have to test it, but let them cart it away for us.
Right, but to your knowledge, we've never dumped anything that's contaminated,
I
correct?
don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know.
Okay.
I just have a couple things. with the new colors. I think that we should probably look at, an idea I had with the street signs. I know we had shade tree commissions, but I was thinking maybe that could be a future Girl Scout, Boy Scout project, for some of the towns. They are outdated to lighter blue, so I think matching the current town flags we have with the darker blue, just a project going on, and maybe do it as one of the Boy Scout, Girl Scout projects, so it's just something I could talk to our rec director
But
about.
they would paint them to be.
Well, no, do paint, replace, no, something. There's a project plan put in place, because they're outdated, they're old, they don't look good. I mean, that's my personal opinion, but I just want to see, it could be a
What doesn't look good?
I mean, this town signs are run down, the welcome to Rockaway Borough, those lighter blue, to me, I don't know, that's what I see, but I just wonder if there's any way we could put a project plan together, maybe it could be a Boy Scout, Girl Scout, do darker blue.
I think it should be like actual
I
street
think
signs, I'm
street
thinking,
signs as well,
holy
yeah.
smokes,
No, I'm just, I mean,
imagine.
that's my next subject, but I'm thinking that somehow, that, I'm not sure the last date, there's be, at least, I know the last time before I was here, at least over 10, 15 years old, these signs, so I'm thinking that going into the same, how we did the flags, in town, that darker blue color, put it forward as maybe is some Girl Scout or Boy Scouts looking for projects, that could be a start. I'm just,
Or Eagle Scout?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Eagle Scout is Boy Scouts, and then what's Girl Scouts are gold, right, they're gold,
Yeah, I
so.
haven't heard of it.
So just, I want to see, that I could talk to our director about moving forward with the project plans with that, if somebody comes along and wants to start doing that, I don't know.
Could we fund that through Clean Community?
Clean community, yeah.
Yeah.
It's been at least 10, 15
Yeah,
years.
but trust me, I looked a couple of years ago, cause I thought the same thing, but they have changed some clean community rules on how much can get
Yeah.
towards that.
But we did fund on the old ones with that.
In fact, those colors are the borough colors up top.
No, I know, but I'm saying that the nice darker blue, like, I know I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying?
Make it pop a little more.
It looks-
That color there is the
Make it
color,
pop.
yeah,
Yeah.
right there.
But I'm saying that, no, that's,
Make it stand out.
yeah, but somehow they need to, they're getting outdated, so. That, regarding the street signs, I think down the road, maybe a 5-year plan, 10-year plan, where we should start looking at doing something in other towns, Dover, Rockaway, something with the street signs. I mean, I'm not putting some money away, just start a project either next year or this year, I don't know, just my idea is something with the street signs.
Well,
You
the
can barely
street
read it.
signs do have, they now have to be like certain reflective and
Yeah.
everything, so I have
Yeah.
all the
Yeah.
guidelines on that, yeah.
Is there a certain time we have to get that started with, or?
No, they just, when you change them out, that they want you, they have to be a certain reflective and whatever. But-
Yeah,
we did look into that a couple of years ago, but again, it's just.
Yeah, I'm just saying maybe it's a 5-10-year plan or something, start with Main Street, just start gradually upgrading, just like, Dover did, Denville did, other towns did, so just an idea, putting this forward, just some ideas.
Yeah, Billy did say the cost of those did increase considerably, because of the reflection and the
It's just
size.
some, for the town.
I'd like to open the meeting to the public.
Okay, one more. Is something else, Tom, or?
Yeah, I know, and I don't remember when, I wanna say it was September, we had a grant writer come in and kinda give us a little introduction to who he was and what his company did.
I requested an updated proposal from that Millennium.
Oh, good.
Okay, and then, while we were talking about cannabis money, is there any thought, or anybody agree with the thought of maybe finishing Wall Street, and adding street lights and a new sidewalk like we did to the rest of the town?
Yeah, so that's one of the things that I think we've talked about, I know Councilman Slough, I think all of us at some point, some of the lamp posts going up Wall Street. Obviously they've been doing a good job, with their storefronts and, smaller businesses coming in. So it's definitely a conversation that we should have. I guess whenever we did the parking lot down at Friendship, we did put piping underneath.
Yeah, we ran under it.
By the tavern there. So, we do have some of the infrastructure, in preparation of something like that. So that's something that's, I think, all of us, to really tie in, obviously there's a lot of work going on. West Main Street right now, during the stretch, it's a lot of work. So I think, once those things come a little bit closer to completion, we wanna tie in, Wall Street, so I don't think we should that focus of just that piece of West Main Street, but
Right.
as you mentioned, going up Wall Street.
Yeah, I think on both sides, if we could do
Well, the
it.
whole redevelopment zone.
Yeah.
That would look nice.
That's a great idea, Tom, but along with that, I think maybe we should look at the existing ones too, maybe we change up the tops, because they've always been a rough time maintaining it. More modern, gas fixture, look,
Yeah, I mean,
The coach lights are, they're.
I would love to have like real gas, you know.
Well, those
Real
are-
gas coming at the top of those things.
Well, we can upgrade and make it a little more presentable looking, because they're beat up.
does, Robo Power have a lot of displays at this current
Yes,
time?
he does.
Sure.
But that's something I think absolutely we agree on,
Yeah,
you know, looking at something like that.
he does
This
have a
year?
lot on his plate at this time? Yeah, all right.
I mean, he was
But that's
listening to
something
project
that,
the other day.
you know,
I think he would be a good person, you know, once his plate clears, to be the point
That's a
person.
buildings and grounds thing, so we may need to get Billy involved.
Yeah, I would think we would, but,
but that could be even a project that we could do ourselves.
yeah, I agree, I just think that, you know, maybe it's time to complete that portion, because we did finish the other one with Quint Castle, that Vincente, sat here, he did that was his project, if I remember correctly. And he's been off a number of years, so it's time to kind of look that way.
I think we owe it to the business owners.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I couldn't agree with you
New
more.
businesses coming down, they're investing in us, we have to invest in our businesses.
I couldn't agree more. And I think there's a couple of bricks here and there that we probably need to replace
Absolutely,
on the old stuff.
absolutely. We owe it to our businesses.
You think we have any flexibility for that?
This year now.
No.
I think it would be a great public works job. They
Mhm.
can do it.
Yeah, no, I think I absolutely believe they could do
They
it as
can
well.
do it.
No flexibility this year?
Well, it's not, it's flexibility, it's also budgeting, I mean, do you have a number?
So we could look at, you know, the cost of poles, is that something that, you know, we get?
I mean, can we think about setting a certain number aside?
Well, we don't have a number, let's get a number, you know, but,
It's, you don't wanna start budgeting on assumptions. You wanna try to come up with a game plan and
Alright.
whatever, that's your best way to budget stuff.
that's a discussion that we should continue to have.
Have we had any consideration for, not expensive, but holiday decorations for our side of Park Lake? Garland, wreaths.
I think Garland, I mean, I know the lights an issue with putting
For
cost.
Park Lake,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
we
know
don't,
what to look into.
yeah, there's no electric in our poles.
Yeah, but really, put Garland or something to match the town.
Yeah.
Make a comment on that. So township does it every other light pole. Why don't we just get an electrician, see how much it would cost, and put an outlet on the access panel on those poles? Access panel, I'm not saying the pole, Jim, on the access panel. Yeah, on the bottom. And just run it up the pole that way, the string of lights. Every other pole, what it will cost per outlet?
I'd be happy with Garland and a wreath.
Whatever,
Whatever.
something.
I agree, something.
I know some of the, people who donated the fixtures actually still have.
They put their own stuff.
Yeah, some of them do, yeah,
Yeah,
correct.
some put their own wreaths on it.
Mhm. I mean, it's definitely something we should look into, I agree with you.
I mean, just a little bit of decoration. doesn't have to
Whatever,
be-
I'm just saying, I'm just bringing that up. We wanna try and match Rockaway Township.
Yeah, speaking, and Patty, you, I think Robin mentioned we have a game plan for the, beach and,
Mhm.
upgrade, okay, great. At Park Lake.
Thank you, apologies, open to the public.
Bonnie Hook. I just have a question on the water bill, and that you mentioned last meeting that you were gonna pay the auditor $3,000 to evaluate, and if you could get into a little more detail with that and tell me why. I mean, if she just ordered it, like, what are we trying to find out? Can you explain it, or tell me what we're paying the
So
$3,000 for?
It's, well, it's more than 3,000, I put additional money into the budget for them to do an analysis of our water fees and our sewer fees, just to make sure, cause those are two utilities that have to maintain themselves, so what they do is they look at our fees, they see how much we're collecting, they're looking at our infrastructure, they're trying to looking at our debt on when we have to put in water mains, to make sure that the money we collect for water bills can maintain our water system, and the same with the sewer.
And we don't have all that information ourselves, money in, money out, and we're not aware of how our water system is? I mean, we have to have it evaluated by somebody in another office, and how much are we paying her? It's more than 3,000 now?
Yeah, I don't have the exact number of what it is going to be.
Don't we have all that information though?
We do have all that information, but you do have a party do an analysis of, making sure, I mean, it's just checks and balances, and
Yeah.
auditors usually do that, that's part of their job in all towns.
And also,
People just don't raise rates, they go in, they do an analysis, that
Right, so you just have to have somebody to tell you that it's okay to raise your rates. And then you can say, it wasn't me, it was the accountant.
it's
No, I mean,
more,
it's our information, but we just need, like you said, that quality control.
last time it was done, it was.
That we have backup of why we're, if.
Okay,
you know,
whatever, I
it's
just
having
wanted
the
to
necessary
make it
backup.
clear and,
But the base information is, yes, is information that we do have.
right, okay.
Just to add on, when we did it
Okay.
last time, we said.
I'm okay, I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you,
So,
Pat.
okay.
Any other comments from the public?
Yeah, I have a comment. I was just very impressed with the fire department's presentation, and I was wondering a couple of things. Is this money already budgeted for them, the things they've been asked for, or how does all this work? We have no dollar amount set aside in the budget to start, and they're working within a budget, or is this all new, let's say, today?
So the first part of it is their budget. The second part, when they were talking about the items they wanna purchase, is what's called capital items. And just like every department, they have their capital projects, and that is money that we will go out to borrow money for to have to, fund those additional requests.
I'm just curious to how everyone feels about that. I mean, it seems to me every time you hear about a death of a fireman or something happened with the fireman, I think about the ship that was on fire down at Port Newark or whatever, and the problem was with radios, you know, and it just seems like that comes up more and more with the fire department. It's a tough job, and I personally, as a taxpayer, don't mind paying for something like that, and I really think we should give them what they ask for, because it's a bigger thing when you lose a fireman's life to something that could be prevented. So I would think about cutting someplace else, you know, to make sure that these guys have the right thing, you know, to do their job and could be able to go home to their families at the end of the day. And you know, and it is a volunteer fire department. You know, it's not like they're making the big bucks here. So that's my only comment.
Well said. I mean, Chief Van Sanders did say that we haven't purchased new equipment
Right.
for the phones since
Exactly.
2006. To his knowledge, it's obviously, in order to keep up with the times, it's probably in our best interest to seriously consider this.
It's a safety issue.
Yeah.
It's a safety issue, no doubt about that.
So George, just to back that up, when I was in the fire department, I was on 2 different calls, where 2 men were in a actual fire, and they got lost.
Mm-hmm.
And we could not find them. One was in Dover, and one was Rockaway Township. So those pass devices they brought into the fire service back then, they weren't the best. Like this radio, it has a built-in pass device that can actually talk, see where he's at. It was just an alarm going off. You're still searching in the dark. So technology's come a long ways. Yeah, we need to protect people.
Yeah.
We need to protect people.
Thank you.
But thank you.
Like I said, I think about the boat on fire down
Yes.
there. They were following the fire hoses to try to find the guys.
That's
You
an old
know,
technique, but unfortunately, you know,
we don't have that
fire
situation,
happens.
but
It's a hard thing to control. It really is. It's a hard thing to control. And if we do the best at it, it's our job to do the best at it.
Right, and we're doing more mutual aid than we've ever done. I mean, we're supporting a lot of other departments in other towns.
No towns are supporting
Right.
us.
And they
we're
have to be able to
supporting as well.
communicate with them too.
Yeah,
Yes.
Right.
absolutely.
so for me, that's top of the list. Right next to the police department, which I'm gonna say the same thing next week. You know, those are the 2 no touches as far as I'm concerned with the budget.
Well, the guys are coming at 1 o'clock in the morning, there's no one else around. That's what I look at it.
Exactly, but, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.